Hello, and welcome into this video. Oh my gosh, I'm in Florida and it is a little windy and stormy today, so I may have to actually hold the camera instead of resting it where I had it against this flower pot. We'll see. Yes. So in this video, I will be speaking about how you can work abroad for a season, whether that is that you want to work abroad for your first summer, or if you want to work abroad for a winter. And I will be talking about the fears that one may have when they first want to travel, of worrying about if they'll be alone, how to make friends, how to have money to travel abroad, what to do with your job if you have it at home, should you go into a career before you travel, or should you travel first? We'll be answering all of these questions. First, I think we will have to take this video inside because it is super windy here. I think it's about the storm, so you probably cannot hear me too well. So we have established that one may have many fears before first traveling abroad, and we are going to, in this video, turn those fears into questions and turn those questions into solutions, so that we don't have to play the tug-of-war game anymore of one part of ourselves having a desire and wanting to move abroad and travel, and the other part of ourselves wanting to stay at home and be with our friends and do what they want and do what our family want and do what we think we should do and stay in our career, so that we can get both parts of ourselves on board together as a team, so that we can go after our desire, travel, and actually have a way that we can go and do that. So you may be wondering who I am and how I can actually help you with traveling and with really living the life that you desire. So my name is Sarah, and in 2018 I first moved abroad to Europe, living in Greece, visiting Spain for a month, then going to Italy and Germany, France, the UK, and then back to Ireland for a brief time. And then I did actually move to Florida for an 8-month season, and then decided to stay and travel in the US for full 3 years, and then done a little more travel after that, visiting Egypt, and then back and forth between Ireland, Europe, America. And then I currently made the move recently to the US to get married here in the States. So I do have a host of experience, both in travel experience and also dealing with different types of visas for you to move abroad as well. So we will be covering a couple of those bases. So if you are anything like me, you probably had or have a big desire to travel, to explore, to get away, to live abroad, to live a different kind of life, to make friendships with people all around the world, to experience different things, different places, different cultures, to really feel that excitement and joy in your belly with going from your desires to desires, and really just expanding your view of the world and just living your best life. And maybe not everyone gets this, so maybe your friends or your family don't get this because maybe your desire is different to their desire. So you may have a desire to move abroad and to do all of this, but not everyone has the same desires, and that is amazing, because if everyone wanted to travel, well then when we travel to a new place, who would be working in the shops? Who would be working to make the transport system happen? Who would be working to run the transport? Who would be running the excursions and the trips in that country? So it is amazing that not everyone desires to travel like this, because well then it would be a little difficult if we all were chasing the same thing. Just like if we were all chasing the same person to date, that can get a little tricky too. So this may mean that your family don't get it, your friends don't get it. Maybe they want you to stay at home because that's what they know, and your family may want you to, if you've just finished college, to get a secure job or to study some more and to do what they think is best from you. And I think most of the time this comes from a good place and from their heart, from actually wanting the best for you. But at the end of the day, this is your life too, to make these choices and to follow your desires. And I think it's so important to actually follow those desires, because your desires of what you want change over time. But if we never actually follow through with any of those desires, well then we never get to experience that joy and excitement and those feelings of those desires. We're just always having new desires but not actually accomplishing any of them. So an example, if we have a desire to, say, travel and to move abroad for a summer, yet instead we do what we think we should do what our family and friends are doing, which is to get a job and to stay at home and to enter a career. And then what? It's 5 years later and we're in an amazing career, we're happily married, we may even have a child, okay? So on the outside to someone else that may look like an amazing life, but maybe you feel inside a little bit of regret that you never followed through with the desires of what you actually wanted, and you may not still have the desire, you may not want to travel anymore at that point in time, but you may still have that regret that you didn't actually do what your desire was at that time. And I think it's normal and natural for our desires to change after time, and that's why it's so important to really go with them. And we can be the first person to open that door and to go first. So don't let, what other people want or other people's desires or other people's fears or limiting beliefs really hold you back. I know when people want to travel a lot of times, you want to go with someone or go with one of your friends and they might not follow through, or they may push it off and say, let's go next year. I was in a similar position with that, where I was waiting, and then I actually entered a contest in Ireland called Miss Bikini Ireland, made a really great friend, and we both had a desire to travel, and literally a couple of months later we just made it happen. So when you really want something, you actually can just make it happen like that. So the next fear or problem that you might have is worrying about being alone and not being able to make friends when you are abroad. And we can quickly flip this fear into a question and into a solution. So we can flip this into a question of, how can I make friends and be surrounded by people when I am away? And very quickly we can probably come up with some ideas of, putting ourselves out there, maybe for the first time, inviting others to do things with us, to go to a coffee shop and to hang out. Maybe we've always waited for someone else to ask us. We could also, decide to have a roommate to in our accommodation together. We can decide to go away with a travel group, or we can decide to go on a working tour together where there are a bunch of other workers that all go together. So you're not really alone. You may be taking a flight alone, but you're going to be with a bunch of people when you are actually there. So you can very quickly turn that fear into a solution. And there are really a lot of options. Like, even for example, I went on a work abroad a workaway program to Greece, to Zakynthos, a Greek island, and I just went there actually with one friend, and that was a group. So basically they give you accommodation for a month. You're living in the same place with many different workers, and there's a rep that helps you to get jobs if you want a job, or you can just decide to basically have a long vacation and be surrounded with a lot of people too. And another way I've done this as well is moving away to the United States by myself this time, but on a work visa, which is called H2B visa. I make a lot of content on my channel about too. And with that visa, your employer basically pays for your flights, sorts out your accommodation, you're with a bunch of people starting a job at the same time. It's a temporary contract, so you're like 8 months, and you basically just like instantly have all these friends who have traveled with you, and also your co-workers as well. So there's definitely ways to make friends. Now, another fear that you might have is, how will I make money, or how will I have enough money to travel? So maybe you have a limited belief that you cannot travel because you do not have enough money, or you don't know how to save, or you don't have savings. So very quickly you can turn that into a question, which is, how can I have enough money for 3 months of the summer that I want to live or work abroad? And then you can turn that question into the solution, which is, okay, well, you can come up with some ideas. Maybe you want to be extra secure and stay at home for a couple of months and continue working your job, maybe get a second job, maybe cut back on your spending if you were going out a lot, if you were drinking a lot and going to like nightclubs, or if you were spending your money on lots of clothes. Really look at where you're spending your money, and then decide to save a certain amount a week to have that budget of what you want for a couple of months. So maybe, for example, you want to save up a couple of thousand, and if you wanted to go to somewhere like Greece, that your accommodation is say 500 a month to live with a couple of other people on that visa, on that work program, and then you can add up your cost of living as well, your food, and you could have enough saved for that you actually don't need a job, but if you get one, that's a bonus, so you can feel extra secure. Or you can just save up enough for your first month of living abroad, like what I done when I moved to Florida, so I had enough for a month, and then I had a job that was going to pay me and did pay me, so then I was able to survive off that as well. So there are many different solutions that you can come up with once you just turn your problem into a question and then find the solutions as well, because a lot of the times it's not really like our problems are stopping us, it's more so that our fears, and it's more so that we are focusing more on our past or how things are rather than our future and how we want them to be or how they possibly can be, and actually taking that courage and time to ask the question and find the solutions, which we really are well capable of doing. So I just want to conclude that it really is possible to work away for a summer, to travel for a summer, if that is a desire that you have in mind that you want to do. And I hope I answered some of those questions in this video. If you do have any more, do feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you were taking away from this video. I love feedback and I love hearing from you. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now. Hope you all have a best summer ever.